Good and early morning from one of the homes of the sport of cycling, something that I am personally very thankful for and something that I would like to unpack in today's video. The weather is looking relatively good this weekend, so we're going to try to make the most of it by riding two back-to-back relatively big-ish endurance rides. Because the first race of the season is a 2-day stage race, so I kind of have to get my body used to riding relatively solid rides back to back. Also, I need to give my fitness a bit of a kick up the backside because the progress has been kind of meh, not really what I would have wanted it to be. So hopefully we can get a bit of movement in that this weekend. So each time I do these kind of combo blocks, I sit down, I prepare my route, and I try to make it as interesting as possible. Most of the time I try and grab the gravel bike to kind of include some off-road sections, but what I always do is I map out the route so that I can go and ride on the roads of some of the spring classics. Why? Well, because that's just cool to do and because I can. And that second point is exactly what prompted me earlier in the week to think about how lucky I actually am to be able to just do that. Us Belgians, we tend to have a good whinge about our country at times, and I get it. We have our reasons, our less than favorable tax system, the weather, the ridiculousness of our political system. If there's, however, one thing that we have no reason to complain about, it is our proximity to and the availability of all things cycling in this country. Oh, and beer. Chocolate as well, sorry. And waffles.
Alrighty, to give you a bit of perspective on that level of availability and proximity, Belgium is a country that you can cross by car in about 3 hours. So I live in the west of the country, and for me it would take me about 2 hours and a half by car to get to the parcours of Liège-Bastogne-Liège, one of the monuments. 2 hours by car, roughly, to get to the parcours of La Flèche Wallonne. 1 hour on the bike, roughly, to get to the parcours of another monument, the Tour of Flanders. Then about 45 minutes, again to an hour, to get to the parcours of Kemmelberg, one of the most famous spring classics. Another 45 minutes to get to the coast for the classic Bruges de Pan, which is another World Tour classic race. Oh yeah, by the way, I forget. If I cross the border from my house, which is again about an hour and 50 minutes on the bike, I am at the Velodrome, which is the iconic finish line of Paris-Oude. And at the minute we're closing in on the parcours of the E3 Classic, which is the dress rehearsal of the Tour of Flanders. That is probably 15 minutes on the bike for me, and then 5 minutes on the bike is Kuurne-Brussel-Kuurne, part of the opening Spring Classic weekend. I think you get the point. So then what's on the program today? Well, we're going to go to the big one. We are going to go to the pivotal moment, the decisive moment in the Tour of Flanders. We're going to go and take on the combo Oude, kwaremont, Paterberg, and then back. Should make for about a 3-hour ride, and that works for me today. So cycling in Belgium is, I guess, on par with football, soccer, or maybe just like a smidge behind. To illustrate that, I took a look at the number of World Tour riders for the 2024 season, both the men and the women. And on the men's side, there are, I think, 60 or 70, I don't know. I'm blanking here for a minute, but I'll put the numbers up on the screen. But we're basically second in the list of countries, or riders per country in the World Tour. And for a country that has a population of about 11 million, that gives you an idea of how popular the sport is here. We're second to France, but only by a little bit, and France has about 6 times the amount of people. And on the women's side, it's slightly less prominent, but still pretty high up. topic of the ride that we're doing today, the Tour of Flanders, is huge in Belgium. It's that huge that we call it the Holy Sunday. Not just a Holy Sunday, no, the Holy Sunday. Blasphemy? Not in Belgium. It is our second Christmas. So people that would otherwise have no affinity whatsoever with the sport of cycling and that wouldn't be caught dead watching a race of cycling, on that particular day they all line the streets and clap the riders, and then they go inside and actually watch the race on TV, and they end up annoying their family members with, in their eyes, ridiculous questions about the race. Such is the kind of popularity of that one race on that particular Sunday in April. So in Belgium we've also got a thing called bike highways. They are exactly what they are, highways for bikes all the way across the country. When the bergs are actually imprinted on the road, you know we take it seriously. And when the beginning of the Strava segment is marked on the road, you know we take it really seriously. So there he is, Oude Kwaremont, in recent years renamed Pogacar Hill, because Poggy Boy completely smashed the field to bits on his 2 recent participations. And last year he actually ended up winning it in very fine form as well. We're gonna go up it now and see how it goes. First section is paved, so not too bad. In fact, the whole climb isn't too bad at all. It never gets really steep in comparison to the one we're going to do in a minute, the Paterberg, but it's long, you know, and it drags on for a while. And then a second part you get hit with the cobbles. That's when it bites. Onto the cobbles we go. Is tough in and of itself, but then climbing cobbled bergs and mountains or hills or whatever you want to call them is just brutal. It's a completely different thing. If you've never done it before, you know, it's yeah, quite something. I'm not the biggest fan at 62 kilos. I'll take an alpine call every day of the week, but you know, it's something you got to do. Alright, onto the Paterberg now, descending, and it's straight up. Well, this one stings when you're when you've got a bit of form, and it's absolute hell when you're not firing on all cylinders. Brutal. So the pros, they crest the hill here and then they swing the left, and then it's I think about 14k down to the finish in Oude. So this kind of combo, Oude Kwaremont, Paterberg, is really where the race is won or lost. I'm at the tip of my loop. We're gonna circle back now, or I'm gonna make our way home. Let the younger generation tow me along there, the next wave of Belgian superstars. And And that's a wrap on day one. It's going to be about 3 hours and 15 minutes, but they're all K's in the bank. So time for some food, and then time to get the Christmas tree set up and spend a bit of time with the family. I will see you for day 2 tomorrow.
Good morning. Time for day 2.
Today we are on our way to the Kemmelberg, which is one of the landmark moments in the Gent-Wevelgem Spring Classic. Not a monument, this one, but a very cool race nonetheless. One that was won by Christophe Laporte last year after he got given the victory by his teammate Wout van Aert. That feat had the country up in arms / debate for probably a good month or two, which is another little example of how seriously things get taken over here, even in the mainstream media, where they got people out, they organized shows, debates to kind of discuss whether or not Wout should have done that. Was that the right thing to do in a Belgian race to give away a victory? It was something that kept our minds busy for weeks on end. I think at some point they even thought about getting the Prime Minister involved. Anywho, on our way to the Kemmelberg, we're going to climb the 2 sides that they do in the race. Cobble climb yet again. It's going to make for a nice loop. I'm thinking about close to 4 hours. And that should hopefully conclude a very nice endurance weekend. This race has like a subtitle, and it's named the Flanders Fields, or In Flanders Fields race, and that's because it is ridden in the area that saw extremely heavy fighting in World War I, 1914, 1918. It's where the Western Front kind of was located and so-called trench war was fought. I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of casualties that fell there in Flanders Fields. There's a beautiful poem by a Canadian soldier called In Flanders Fields. You look it up, it sends chills up your spine. As you see, as we'll get closer, there was a lot of military burial sites. British, Canadian, Irish, Australian, New Zealand. It's unbelievable, and it's quite a silencing experience each time I ride through it. You know, as the theme of this video is gratitude for for the area that I live in as a cycling fan, as I will ride through that area, I'm no doubt will be filled with gratitude yet again for the fact that I don't live in a war-ridden zone, and then at the same time there's sadness as well, you know, because as a human race we don't seem to have learned a great deal since then. When the weather's like this, even in winter, I don't mind being here. I absolutely don't mind being here. In fact, it is a beautiful place to ride. Kemmel ever so slightly, which is the little village at the foot of the Kemmelberg. I'm kind of feeling the southwestern headwind now, which is also a typical factor in that race. Crosswinds. If the wind is heavy, the crosswinds are absolutely brutal, and what can make the race 10 times harder. Okay, we made it to the town square of Kemmel. We're gonna go and climb the Kemmelberg for the first time. This is, in my opinion, the easiest quote-unquote side. There's a kind of gradual start on concrete slabs, and then it turns right onto the cobbles. head back down and do the other side. Started the climb on the tarmac. Starts off kind of gently, gradually, and then it will ramp up pretty brutally. And this is a side that our friend Wout van Aert tends to use to cause absolute damage. And that's that, number 2. Bloody hell. That second one was a sting in the legs, but I got it done. The cobbles on this side are far worse. At times, you could probably lose your bike in between. When it ramps up to like 20%, it gets spicy. All right, so that's the first point of the loop. We're gonna zip back now and surf the tailwind to go home. Take a little minute to thank each and every one of you for watching. This is the first time you're watching. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the content. If you do, make sure to subscribe so you can keep posted on more of these things. If you're a returning viewer, thank you, really appreciate it. Really means the world. All your comments gives me a bit of a motivation to keep creating these pieces of content. Thank you. So the legs have been tapping along nicely all morning. Quite happy about that. About 2 hours and 45 minutes in, so that's good. And they actually feel better than yesterday. So we'll definitely put that one down as a positive. And we'll definitely put the miles down in the bank as well. And that is that second ride done. That was 3 hours and 45 minutes with the 3 hours and 15 minutes from yesterday. Gives me 7 hours in 2 days, which will do me for this time of the year. That also concludes the video for today. I hope you enjoyed some of the Flemish roads. There will be more of this to come on the channel, so if you liked the video, please like or click the like button, sorry, I'm a bit tired, and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you very much. Be safe, be healthy, enjoy what you do wherever you are, whatever you do, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.